Well, hello everybody, it's Erin Reed. I'm jumping on a tiny bit early, mostly because I'm just impatient. I'm sitting going do. But welcome. Today we're going to make a fun shaker card. Look at this. Love it. I am going to do this also on my Facebook Live, and on Facebook I'm going to show you not how to cut out the truck to be a shaker, but how to do the pumpkins as a shaker. So it's a little bit of a different twist. Today on this one, we're going to do the truck though. So how do you do this? All right, let's get all the stuff organized here. I got my little bits and pieces. All right, the first step, and we're going to kind of change up. We're going to change some colors. We're going to alter it so that way you don't do the exact same thing as what I've already done. But I just think they're fun. And I did went ahead and stamped on the inside. So that way you would know that this is a truck. So as you're looking at it, you're going, oh, yeah, that's a truck. That's cool. All right, so the first step, we're actually going to give our truck a little bit of a road. And I was debating, do I want to do the tan or do I want to do the zigzag? And I think I like the zigzag. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my Xyron tape runner. This is before I die cut it. And I got this die set, it's the Stampin' die set we're working with. There's our little plastic we're going to be working with. From Maker's Movement, this is the Home for the Holiday stamp set. The link is down below already for that. And so this is the die that goes with it. And we're going to use the Home for the Holiday part, or the truck, sorry. And then we will be using the stamp set. I mean, just bits and pieces. The cool thing I love about this particular stamp set is that you can use it for, like it says, so Happy Harvest, but you also have a Christmas tree, so you can do this for Christmas. You can do this for 4th of July or for New Year's Eve, or you can also use it for birthday. So you've got this little thing that says Pumpkin Patch and Happy Harvest. We're going to use those today, along with the pumpkins. But there's also Best Wishes on your birthday, I'll be home for Christmas, and Celebrate with a Bang. So it really kind of goes for a lot of different holidays. Okay, so now that I've got my little piece down there, I'm going to line up my truck so it looks like it's kind of on the road. So I don't need to have this set down there yet. So it looks like it's just kind of there. So as it's kind of rolling around, it looks like it's, and this is not on straight, so that doesn't help. Make sure your paper's on straight before you do the rest of it. There we go. Hope everybody's having an amazing day. Day before Halloween gets kind of crazy. Still didn't put that on straight. I'm using my Xyron. I'm going to add a little bit more tape here because I've pulled it off twice now, and I am going to be die cutting through that. So I just am having the hardest time right now getting that on straight. And no, it doesn't need to be perfect, but it's going to look funny because it's a road, and then I'm going to line this. So there we go. That's better. All right, so I'm going to line it up so my little truck is pretty much like on the road. Put some washi tape down. If you've got that purple tape stuff, I need to get some. I keep telling myself I need to grab it, but I keep forgetting to get it. Now, if I can find the end of my, there it is. Found it. Hello to everybody who is on today. How are you doing? All right, so now that I've got that lined up, I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. So we'll die cut that piece out. I also want to prep my pumpkins. So I had all my little bits and pieces out. Where to go? Oh, because I was going to die cut it on this big one. All right, so my pumpkins, I've decided on the original one, you could cut and color it, or you could stamp it and color it. I decided to do it on a pattern paper just to simplify it. There's a lot going on with the shaker element, so I just was kind of leaving it simple. So I am going to stamp my pumpkins. I just put my die down because I don't want to lose it. My other trick to you, this is a magnetic sheet. It's from Stampin' Storage. And if I have a whole bunch of little dies out, or this is the set and I don't have it put away, I'll throw them on this here and then I don't lose them. And this is magnetic. So they're not rolling around, not going, where did that little die go? It's really making my life a whole lot easier now that I've done that. All right. Pulling out my hybrid ink from scrapbook.com. I'm just doing everything in black. You could do brown. I got a lot of colors happening here right now. So any colors of that would work. Awesome. Stick my die down here. There we go. Now I got to shift everything out of the way because we are going to die cut these out. These are the only things that we're going to be die cutting. And you know what? I'm going to trim this up so I don't need this giant thing. Get all my other little bits and pieces out of the way here. Got lots of stages happening. Lots of stuff happening at one time. And I do need my plates, which I have just shoved off to the side here. So got my plates here, and now my die cut machine. Oh, that thing is a little bit heavy, but I love the fact that it's a little bit heavy because it gives it some heft. I actually tried to die cut these out of a smaller die cut. I have like a little tiny one. It didn't work very well. It kept running into problems. All right. Plus, I can run these both at the same time, which I think is awesome. All right. Line them both up. Get them on here. Run it through. Woo. Creak, pop, crack. Lots of fun noise happening. Good morning, everybody. Hi. Hello. C. Ward, Belinda. How you doing? I'm sorry if you jump on at some point. I don't say hello to you. I just missed it. I have to kind of crane my neck around to hear what's going on. All right. Once we die cut these two pieces, we are done with our dies for today. Not sure why there's foam tape on that. I'm just going to put that off the side. All right, I think I have it so it won't fall over. But if you hear a crash at some point, that's what happens. Oops. All right, so carefully pull off. I did that last time too. See, that's why I need to get the purple tape so that mess doesn't happen. I don't know if you guys can tell, but like it's probably the light's not helping. Some of the tape popped off, or the paper pulled off. It didn't pull clean. It pulled part of the paper off, which really is annoying. So anyway, don't throw this away. We're going to use a portion of this here in a minute. Okay. And then you want to save your little pumpkins. So there we go. Those are done. It looks kind of funny with little tires. But that's a kind of a fun thing. If you want to do like a quick, easy paper piecing, you can like glue pieces down and then die cut out. All right, I am done with my dies. So I'm taking all my tape off, throw my bits away, and then putting them on my magnetic board so I don't lose them. Even with a big guy like that, I will end up losing them. All right, so that's out of the way. Next, we are going to do the stamp that's on the inside of the card. So I've got my stamp. Let me make sure I'm in screen here. There we go. I've got my stamp. And then I have my paper. I'm going to make sure I'm grabbing the correct, no, that's not the correct one. I have all my pieces cut out, but I got to remember which pieces are which. There we go. Here's all the elements. Lots of little bits. Oh, I have an extra card that I cut. Interesting. Okay, so the inside of the card this time is going to be orange. We're going to have an orange truck. The first time I did a tan truck, which is basically the color that we have here. It's a little bit of a different paper, but it was a tan truck. So how do we get the truck to line up? Because it's on the inside. And how do you make sure? Because we've die cut not like at the bottom. So what I've done is you're going to use your MISTI. That's your big help here. It doesn't have to be perfect because you can kind of rearrange this to be on top and on the bottom. But what I did is I lined up my paper, the back paper, the paper you want to have in the background here. And yeah, I cut it way bigger because the stamp only goes to be like this big. And check to make sure that everything looks cool. And so we're going to lay the stamp down. So lay your stamp right where you think you need it, have it. And if it goes a little high, you can always cut off the top because you don't need that top anyway. And then before you stamp it on there, take your front cover and then lay it on there. Does everything kind of get covered up? Did you line it up pretty good? Meaning I can't see the orange. And yeah, and I cut the orange paper down to be a bit smaller. Oops, and then I move it, so that doesn't help. So line up your stamp, lay it down. And this would work for any die cutting system that you have, like any dies. I'm really having a hard time without moving my stamp here. I think that's going to be pretty good. I mean, I'm looking like it's, let's not touch it this time. Because everything is going to be covered up. So we should be good. So if you've got a fancy die, you don't have to do the stamp on the inside. But if you have a die and a stamp and you want to turn it into a shaker, this process works for any of those. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have that truck. I can't do this. Yes, you can. And if you don't want to put the stamp behind it, you just skip the step. You can do all the other parts to it, which is actually the easier way of doing this card. So much faster. Stamp this guy up. I love this. It's got these little ridges. I just got this in. It's got little ridges on it, and it makes stamping so much easier because I can kind of grab it and then stamp that on there. Make sure it's good. Yeah, it missed a little bit in the middle. The purple tape does the same thing. Oh, use Post-its. Good to know. I mean, I had it. Seriously, I have a purple tape. It's somewhere. I keep saying it's somewhere. But yeah, and maybe it's just that one washi because it's a little bit older. I don't know, but I'm sick and tired of it pulling off my paper. There we go. Oh, a little bit on the tire. Well, you know what? You're never going to see that. Don't be too concerned about the inside of the stamp here because I'm really totally off camera. Sorry. Because you're going to end up with the shaker bits in there anyway, so you're not going to see it all. All right, so what I have in here is I have a little stamp that says pumpkin patch, and normally they even have a die that will stamp this part out. It's this, so it looks like it's a sign that you would put on, and so you can stamp and then die cut that out. But I was afraid if I put the shaker, if I put a piece of paper in there with that, it would catch all the shaker bits. I wanted it to be nice and clean, so we're just going to stamp that directly onto the truck, which is what I did here. See what I mean? You can't even see the bottom of the tires. So you can see just that little bit of a pumpkin patch on the inside. So we're going to do that. I'm going to raise it up a tiny bit so it looks like it's a sign on the side of the truck. I'm going to go right there. And I did smidge it a little bit, but there you go. So there is our truck. I'll clean that all off later. Oh, don't want to lose that little stamp. We're going to need that later too. Okay, so now we got this piece. You know what, before I forget, I also am going to go ahead and attach my shiny bits. Yeah, I used the back side of a craft paper that has dots, which is the dots we might be using later on. It's the same dots I had here. I mean, I already had it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some scratch paper, which I'm stuck somewhere. Also because I don't want to get my mat all gross. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is a piece of acetate, and I have the package right here so you guys can see it. This acetate is from Graphics. It's awesome. It's called Duralar. It's got a whole lot of different awesome stuff. It's archival, lays flat. It's also heat resistant, which I think is pretty awesome. So you can actually emboss on the acetate if you wanted to. Not saying, it's just kind of a neat idea. So you want to go through and stick it to everywhere. You don't want to have any gaps because then you might have some of your, so really get in here. The cool thing I love about the Xyron is that it's not leaving any little dangle bits. I can come right through here. It's going to leave a strip of adhesive right exactly where I want it, because you want this acetate piece to be exactly, now it's on the paper, but we'll shift it over so we're clean. And then make sure this is nice and clean. Wipe it on my shirt real fast. Make sure there's no bits and bobs on it. And then make sure it's completely covering the portion of the part that you want to be the shaker. So that way this now has a film. So there's your film. So that way your parts don't come out. And there we go. Ta-da! It's a little see-through piece you can see right there. Hello, how you doing? New people jumped on. Hello, hello. Joan. Hi, Joan. Okay, so now we need to line this up, but we need to put some elements on here. And we can obviously do the last bits of our card later. So one other thing I did on this card is I did the stitching. I did the stitching after the fact. So if you wanted to do your stitching, you should probably do it before you start gluing bits and pieces together. Adding these elements on there, you can do that anytime. No big deal. Okay, so now you want to start adding on all of your foam tape. So I made my own foam tape because you just kind of go crazy with getting lots and lots of foam tape, and it can get kind of expensive. So start layering up. You don't have to be super perfect here. Think about where your truck is. So look right, oops, you know what? I got to trim off a tiny bit off the top there. I'm glad I rechecked it. So I got to trim. Again, you're not going to see, you know what? You're not going to see that. I can just do this. You're never going to see that. Whoop-de-doo. So there we go. So look, you need to get anywhere that's pretty much not within the frame of where the truck is. So come in with your foam tape, and we got to make some more here in a second. So just give me a second. I'm going to use this stuff up. Leave the top side on. Make sure you do not have any gaps. Otherwise, all your little glittery pieces are going to come right through. So we'll use up what I have here real fast, and then we'll make some more because it's that easy. And make sure you're using the same height of foam tape. So whatever you choose to use, this one's a little bit too fat. So here's the cool thing. I can trim this to be whatever thickness I want it to be. If I want this to be nice and thin, that's just too thin. I can trim it down. So I'm going to go right to the edge here. There we go. So don't worry about doing like perfect squares. Don't worry about that, because you're not going to end up seeing that stuff anyway. You can even cut corners here. I'm going to trim this down to be in half as well. A little bit less. Just don't want it to get in the way. So I think I'm going to put this skinny guy right along there. And then cut this in half. I feel like I'm talking to myself when I do this. I'm sorry. I know you guys are like, well, she needs to talk more. Do I talk too much? Do I talk not enough? I don't know. That's how we're good. So now we got to fill in some gaps, but I need some more foam tape. So super simple, kids fun foam. I'm just going to cut off a little section here. Oops, I got it stuck on my scissors. Just cut off a little bit of fun foam. You don't need a ton. Plenty. I've showed you guys this before, but we can do it again. Take your Xyron. You know, you can use the smaller one. You can use the bigger one. Run it through. Press, press, press. Take off the top bit. You can make as little or as much as you want. It's totally up to you. Trim this off just because it makes it easier to run it through. And now we're going to run it through because we've only made this sticky on one side. So now we want to run it through the other side. So take it, make sure the other side is down, flip it, pull it through. Look at that. DIY foam tape. Fun foam, you know, like foam roll, whatever you want to call it. I don't know how to call it. I always call them pop dots, but there you go. All right, Joan said something. I'm trying to reach over. What did she say? Oh yeah, if you come out, there's confetti everywhere. I had one little spot that on this card, and it was like right there. And somehow when I put, before I don't know, I did something, it didn't quite stick down, and a whole bunch of these little pieces got stuck underneath. And it was like, it was raised up and they were starting to eke out. So yeah, just be careful. They're fun, but you need to make sure that you have all your bits and pieces stuck down. All right. So for this little corner right here, I'm going to show you a little trick. You don't have to be super perfect on this. I mean, you have to be perfect so they don't have any gaps. But you can come in and you can just kind of wedge it in there, just like that. And then you've got a little spot there. So I'm going to leave this guy off to the side because I want a nice long run to go through here. And I'm going to show you one other trick when it comes to laying down your foam tape. Let me trim this up. That I have found makes my life a little easier when it comes to making sure the glitter doesn't pop out or the sequins or whatever it is. You can put so many different things inside of a shaker card. All right, so line this up, run this down here, go all the way to the end. I'm going to flip it over. And if I went over the edge, no big deal, because this is just a background and we're going to have the front of the card is bigger. So this little corner, you're like, maybe I didn't get enough in there. Well, you can take a piece that's nice and small and kind of come into the corner right here and add like a little bit extra corner, like right there, or like right here. Okay, well, that's a spot that's just not that great. Okay, we'll add another little doodad right there before you go in, like right there. Oh, that might not be the best spot. That maybe I need to have it, and there's enough space up there that I can add a tiny little layer. So it's cool to overlap and make bigger pieces because you're never going to see that. I mean, look, I know there's some some of the tape, but look, even with that extra tape that's in the way, you don't see that stuff. So you're cool. And sometimes it gets a little sticky and the glitter sticks to it anyway. So again, no big deal. So it's just giving yourself a little barrier so you don't have any of the little pieces that eke through and get away on you. So like right, a little bit further down, like right there. So it's just above. I didn't want to cover up that top of the roof. All right, so now that we have that done, we are going to start adding our bits and pieces. So I got this glitter set, really cool, from BB Craft. It actually came with this giant package right here, and then it came with some that had like colors in here that were already like mixed. I couldn't find a good set that worked with this. So just the colors did not work well, but I'm like ready to go with one of those if I ever need it. But the solid colors, I used one already. I used the entire thing because it's such a big shaker element in here. I used like the yellowy color. So for this one, because we have orange, I'm just going to dump the entire orange thing in here. So here we go. Da-da-da. I love these little containers. I'm totally going to keep them for something. I actually ended up using it because I only had, this is how many orange sequins I have. That's it. I'm out of orange sequins. So I used them just because I popped them in here because I didn't want to have them floating around. Other elements I want to include is I have a whole bunch of these little diamond dots that are left over from when I do those diamond paintings. So I'm going to pop a few of those extras in here. I just think they're really cool for shaker cards. I love them. And then I know I did lots of oranges, so we're adding some yellows, we're adding some browns, we're adding some colors that remind me of fall. But, you know, whatever shaker bits. You can use confetti, you can use matte metals, have fun with it. This is such a big shaker piece on the inside here. You can kind of get away. I mean, I added so much, and then when it sits like this, it all falls to the bottom, and you can barely, I mean, there's enough in there that it looks like there's something happening, but I always think more the merrier. I'm just dumping them in. And then my big sequins, I'm going to shove this over just very gently because I want to show you guys. I have one more set of sequins. I didn't pull it out. And this video is coming soon about how I organize. Look at this. Isn't that cool? It's a book and they're all organized. I'm going to pull some of these ones here. And there's these kind of muted ones that are in here, or the goldish ones. They're really big. So I'm going to grab some of these big guys in here and pop them in. So my video about how I organize all my sequins is coming. It's coming. So I'm just going to pop those in there and we should be good to go. All right. Seal that back up. Pop that back in there. Ta-da! Done. All right. Be careful not to shake and jiggle this and make everything go everywhere. So I take my finger, place it on the inside, and then start peeling off all of the tape. Be careful, you don't want to have anything kind of jump, because I've done that, where you kind of pull and the next thing you know, the whole thing like leaps out at you, and that sucks. So stick your fingers in there, make sure everything is nice and not moving. Get all, okay, make sure that's all good. Don't leave any that don't have tape on, like pull all the layers of the tape off. So yeah, it's cool that you do all these little tiny bits and pieces, but don't forget to pull the pieces off. There we go. So now I'm kind of testing them, and the whole thing is not lifting up and jostling them everywhere. That's the key thing here. I guess you could pull the tape off before you do your glitter, but no, I'm not doing that. I'd have too high of a chance that everything would stick to the tape as I poured it in. At least this gives me a little bit of a barrier in case I drop something and are silly. So I think I'm just missing this little guy right here. Oh, see, look, I almost got it caught. Make sure nothing is touching, kind of keep everything in the center. It'll all shake around. So this is the little finagly part. Here we go. So come in. And you want to get it lined up with the truck. Oh, two little spots. You can almost see a little bit of the white. So we're gonna, and there we go. There's a little shaker bit. Oh, one little guy, one little escape artist. So I went a little bit off, but there's no way I'm gonna rip that thing apart now. It is what it is when you get it. You know what I mean? There's just no way you're gonna kind of redo that. So this, I think when I pulled the tape off, it came a little bit undone and it's bugging me. So we're gonna stick that back down. And again, unless I rip this whole thing, die cut it, there's no way to fix that. Okay, so this needs to make sure that it's nice and level. So I need to add some more adhesive, pop adhesive. So I'm going to run another section here. Oh, might as well throw that on there since it's there. Otherwise, my card is going to warp, and I don't want it to warp as it's sitting on the base. So there we go. And then that is going to go onto our card base. So I just have a standard A2 size card here. I'm going to stick, I love just all the oranges. Woo, and I think, oh, look at that, I'm out. I'm out. Oops, wrong way. All right, I made this so it was a complete cover on the front. I didn't want to see the white. I felt like there was, well, this one I went super white. So for this card, we are not going white at all. We picked all the other colors. We picked browns. We picked all the different colors. I need to grab my tape gun real fast. Here we go. Oh, this one doesn't have a thing in it, so we're going to pop one in. I was all ready. Look at that. You know you put it in wrong if it goes the wrong way. All right. So I'm going to add adhesive. Oops. Oopsie, oopsies. Came undone on me. There we go. Sometimes you do this to me. I don't know why. I don't know if you guys have ever had that happen. They just get a little loose, so I just pull them. All right, good enough. And then pull open this piece. Oh, they're already sticky. And then stick that down. Yeah, I like the fact that it's not so white on this card. I think I like the oranges and the colors. What do you guys think? Which one do you like better? Do you like the more whitey looking one, or do you like the more tan? I don't know. Whatever floats your boat on that one, right? All right, the next step that we got to do is we need to add our pumpkins. And when I first came out, I was like, oh, look, they're just sitting there. That looks totally stupid. Well, I already had this piece die cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a section of that off. So you just come in and you cut right along there to make it look like it's part of the truck. And so you put your pumpkins down first. So we're going to run it through here. And then for the other, oh, I should have done them at the same time. That was silly. Not thinking. Again, you could totally color these pumpkins. I was going for like the teal pumpkins, like the gourds, how they're nice and soft. And I really did not line up my die very well on that, but that's okay. All right, and then this little piece just fits on top. So it looks like you've got something going on with the truck, but it looked too matchy-matchy, like it just kind of blended in. So I took a pen. Aha, this is why I didn't do it. So since I stamped in black, I'm just taking a black pen and I'm just outlining just to emphasize what this looks like real fast. And it doesn't exactly match the stamp, but you're not seeing that much of the stamp to begin with anyway. So I'm not so worried. And then you run this through. I've lots of trash everywhere. It's just trash everywhere here. Shaker cards make a lot of trash. I tell you that. Lots of bits and pieces that go along with making a shaker card. There we go. And then make sure I line this up. Oh yeah, little thingies go upwards. So stick that in there. And then it looks like your truck has a little railing. There it is. There we go. Now we just need to add the sentiments. Now you got your little pumpkins in the back. You can change up. You can color the pumpkins any way you want. Totally cool. So now we are going to add in our main sentiment. So I can pop this stamp back real fast. So when this is pumpkin patch. So yesterday I went by the grocery store and I had, went to the grocery store 2 weeks ago and they had a bajillion pumpkins. Like, I don't know, they probably had close to 2,000 pumpkins in front of our giant, like, super plus grocery store. And then I go to the store on Monday and it's down by, they had like 400 left. Go yesterday because my son had a thing with Scouts. Get there yesterday and there was 0 pumpkins left. Like, they were gone that fast. It was crazy how many pumpkins were just poof, gone. Gone. I cannot believe how many. I'm just going to do this so I don't mess up my mat. Oops. We're going to do it on the white though. I mean, that is just nuts to me. So we're just going to do a little happy harvest. Hope I didn't screw that up because I kind of touched it. Look. Flip it over. Try again. Didn't like the way that one turned out. Now, initially I had done the background to this little sentiment that's at the top. That's better. Okay. I had done it in this, but it looked too matchy. So I thought, well, what about the orange? So I kind of like it on the orange. It pulls in the color that's behind. So which one's the right size? That one, or do I want to do this one? No, I like the bigger ones. I'm gonna, yeah, that'll work. So I like the bigger one. We're gonna cut that down so it's a tiny bit bigger. There, and you'll love my precision on that. It's awesome. So go ahead and trim, give yourself little fishtails. For the longest time, I could not remember what the word fishtail was when I was stamping. I was like, what is that word? Fishtail. Give yourself some little fishy tails. Line it up. And if I ended up cutting a little too deep on the orange, not worried about it because it's going to look kind of cool that it's overlapped. There, they were definitely not overlapped at all. Run these guys through. Mostly because getting your tape runner into those little tiny bits are just not fun. And then layer it up. I like layering it on here. Am I centered? Yeah, good. And then pop our sentiment up at the top here. And there it is. Oops, I want to get too close. Now for this card, I didn't add the stitching because I just didn't feel like with all the colors that were going on here, and I added this part down here. Here, I inked the edge in some brown. So I don't know, which one do you guys like better? If you have a, how big is my town? I'm outside of Austin. I'm in a small, it's not that small. We actually are growing like crazy, but it's not huge. It's not that big of a town. But to go from that many pumpkins, and maybe people go and buy 2 or 3 at a time, I just could not believe that in one night how many pumpkins just vanished. That to me was just a little bit crazy. That's a lot of pumpkins just to go poof. So there you go. So here we go. Here, 2 cute shaker cards. Lots of fun. Having fun with lots of elements. I actually ended up using some gems inside of here I have had for 10 years. I found the package as I was organizing my sequence. I was like, hey, that would be really cool in a shaker card. And they were brown. I was like, we're going to have them pop into this thing. So you can put all kinds of stuff. It's a great way to use up little doodads that you have hanging around. I don't know. I just think it's fun. So thank you everybody for stopping by and checking out my cool, fun shaker cards, my little Chucky shaker cards. Again, you could use this with just about any kind of stamp and die set that you have. You can turn that into a shaker element, make it the focal point, pop it up, you know, add some elements around it, add the stamp on the inside. So you really, because otherwise you'd be like, is that a truck? Is that what that is? But as it, you know, all the shaker pieces move down, you can really see the truck that's in there, and it just has kind of a fun shakery piece that goes with it. So it looks cool if it's down as well. It doesn't feel like it has to be filled up the entire way, but you can definitely fill them up as much as you want and have fun with it, because everybody loves a shaker card. I mean, they're just too cool to play with. So thank you, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, and hit that like button so you guys can get further notifications of all my live videos and also other upcoming videos that are going on. And I will see you guys again soon. Have a great Halloween tomorrow. If you do Halloween, have a great time. My kids are super excited, let me tell you. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.